Hello, welcome to Academic Writing. Today we will be seeing Unit 6 once again as a part of our revision. And this unit is dealing with the mechanics and conventions of writing. Let us see what this unit actually contains. This unit will sum up the major points to keep in mind while using punctuation marks and the various documentation styles for academic writing. It also highlights the key concerns in maintaining academic integrity. So here we have got three major topics dealt with. They are punctuation marks, documentation style, and also academic integrity. And for today's class, we will be dealing only with punctuation marks. Now let us see what is the importance of punctuation marks and what they are actually and how they function, or what are the functions of punctuation marks. So what are these punctuation marks, or what are their functions? So they are a bunch of marks or signs used to bring clarity of expression in writing. So the main function of punctuation marks, it is to bring clarity. Clarity means avoiding ambiguity or the exact meaning of a sentence. Punctuation helps the writer clearly convey the message. So it also helps the writer to convey his message clearly, and it brings accuracy in writing. Accuracy means exactness. Then these punctuation marks also strengthens the arguments. That means our arguments are strengthened, our arguments are given force with the help of these punctuation marks. Helps emphasize the major idea discussed in the paper or article. So it is trying to give stress or emphasis to the or emphasis to the paper or article that we are writing. But at the same time, if we use the punctuation marks wrongly, then the ideas can become vague or unclear, and also it can complicate the meaning of the sentence that we are writing. So we should be very careful in using our punctuation marks. And here we have got a very classical example how punctuation mark can change the meaning very dramatically. See the example here. King Frederick says Voltaire is an ass. The meaning is very clear, and the king is telling Voltaire is a famous writer and philosopher, that he is an ass. That means he is stupid. Now look at the second sentence. When we place those two commas, it changes the whole meaning. King Frederick says Voltaire is an ass. So just the opposite of the first sentence. Here Voltaire says King Frederick is an ass. So this is how punctuation mark can change the meaning of a sentence. Now we go to the first punctuation, that is comma. Commas are the most frequently used punctuation marks. So in a sentence you find a lot of commas, unlike other punctuation marks. Use a comma after certain introductory words or phrases. Example, to begin with, let me introduce the purpose of my trip. So whenever try to introduce something, introduce a sentence or a paragraph, we use comma. Use a comma to separate two adjectives when the adjectives are interchangeable. Now, when you look at the sentence, the meaning will become very clear. The long, tedious session on new tax reforms did not produce the desired effects. So, here you have two adjectives used there, and these two adjectives are interchangeable. That means you can use the first one in the second place or the second one in the first place, still the meaning will not change. That's the meaning of interchangeable. That means these two adjectives are more or less having the same meaning. So, in order to separate these adjectives, we are using a comma. Next, to separate two independent clauses connected by and, but, for, or, so, etc. So, whenever we have certain connectives like and, but, for, or, so, in order to separate two independent clauses, we use a comma. Example: the doctor says his fever is gone, but he is still feeling tired. So, here you find two independent clauses, they are being separated by a comma. To set off a quote from the rest of the sentence. So, when we are using a quotation, we are separating the sentence from the quotation. A quotation mark is there. Example: according to an old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So, we are separating the quotation with a comma after the first sentence or the introductory sentence. Next, to list nouns in a sentence. So, when we have got more than one noun used, to separate these nouns, we are using comma. Fruits like papaya, apricot, pear, kiwi and peach are considered suitable to control blood sugar. So, each of these nouns are separated by a comma. To separate interrupting words and expressions in a sentence. So, sometimes you find there can be certain phrases or words coming in between a sentence and breaking the sentence into two. So, in such cases we use a comma before that and after that interrupting words or expression. Look at the example. The famous composer Mozart is known for his symphonies. So, here the sentence is broken by Mozart. So, in order to separate that word Mozart, we are using commas. Now, we come to the second punctuation, that is semicolon. Let us see what are the functions of a semicolon. Use a semicolon to separate two sentences when there is no coordinating conjunction such as and, but, or, nor, for, because, etc. So, here we are using a semicolon to separate two sentences when these coordinating conjunctions are not used. That means, here the semicolon is having the function of a coordinating conjunction. Let us see the example. I know your father. He has close associations with my uncle. So, here we have got two separate sentences actually, and they are somehow joined by a semicolon. Next, if the two sentences are joined by a conjunctive adverb such as however, consequently, therefore, or however, use a semicolon before the conjunctive adverb and a comma after it. So, whenever you are using these adverbs which are actually functioning like a conjunction or connecting together, then we are using a comma before as well as after that, after these adverbs. Here we have got the example. There are states that demand a greater degree of autonomy. However, this can lead to a situation where the other states make similar demands. So, here you find the semicolon is used to separate. Use a semicolon to separate items in a series if there are commas within the items. So, here you find many items are given, and all these items are to be separated by semicolon, because there are commas after every set, because different sets are there. Let us see which are the sets here in that example. The group consisted of Edward North, BA B.Ed, William Robinson, MA PhD, Mary Allen, MD PhD. So, here you have got 3 people with their qualifications. So, we need to separate these 3 people along with their qualifications, because after each qualification you have a comma. But to put an end to that first item, first set, we are placing the semicolon after B.Ed. Next we come to William Robinson, then we have got the qualifications. After each qualification we have got comma, but at the end of PhD we have got semicolon. That is setting, differentiating between the items. And then the last item or set is Mary Allen, MD PhD. After that, of course, we have got full stop. Then a semicolon can also be used to replace a period, that is full stop, if the writer wishes to reduce the gaps between linked sentences in a paragraph. So, you can use semicolon instead of a full stop. Suppose you don't want to break the sentence, you want to continue with that, maybe it's a long sentence, so in between you have a semicolon coming. See the example. It is dangerous to text, read messages when you drive. Some say it is more dangerous than drunk driving. So, actually there are 2 sentences, but in order to reduce the gap, here he is placing a semicolon. Actually it is functioning almost like a full stop. Next we come to colon. First function of a colon is to introduce a series of items in a list. For example, the following holy books were mentioned in the essay. So, after that we have got a list. So, we are introducing that list by using colon, what are the items coming in that list, like Bible, Bhagavad Gita, Quran and Guru Granth Sahib. Next, to separate 2 independent clauses where the first introduces or explains the second. So, here we have got 2 independent clauses and we are trying to separate them because one sentence is introducing the second one or trying to explain that. In that case, we have got a colon coming in between. I have not even completed half my revision. My examination is around the corner. So, one is giving the explanation, that is why he is not ready for the examination. He is explaining that he has not completed his revision. Then to introduce a quotation that is independent from the main sentence. So, again we have got a quotation coming, but we want to say that it is independent from the first sentence. So, the first sentence is Tiruvallur was arguably one of the earliest Indian writers to observe the ecological function of rains. And then we are giving the quotation of Thiruvalluvar. That is, the world survives because of the rains, and therefore rain is known to be the nectar of immortality. So here you have got two independent sentences, and the quotation is different from the first sentence. Then we have got double quotation mark. Of course, it is to quote something, quote somebody. Example: only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. Robert F. Kennedy. So it's a quotation from Robert F. Kennedy. So in order to indicate that quotation, we put that double quotation mark. Then two set of titles of essays, journals, magazine articles, poems and short stories. So to show that they are the titles, we put double quotation mark. In her essay Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, Laura Mulvey addresses the male gaze of female body as object of visual pleasure. So those double quotation clearly shows that is the title of the essay. Okay. So next we have single quotation mark. To introduce a word or phrase as a technical term. Example: the word ecology derives from the Greek oikos, meaning household or place to live. So here we are dealing with words as separate identity, not as part of the sentence. So to show that that's a word which is different from the sentence, so we put the single quotation because it's a technical term and we are trying to explain that or give the meaning. Then to emphasize a word or a term, emphasize means to give more importance, to stress that. Example: Canada and Australia are called settler countries. So here trying to give stress to that word settler, so we put a single quotation mark. Next, to show a quotation inside a quotation, that means here we have two quotations coming one after the other. So in order to separate one quotation from another, we are putting single quotes for one particular quotation. Anand reiterated his resolve to strive, to seek and not to yield. So the second quotation, that is not Anand's, actually it is somebody else's quotation. That's why it is put in single quotation. Next we come to apostrophe. To show contractions and possession. Contraction means short. Possession means belonging to somebody. Example: Mohanan's car got stuck in a pothole. So Mohanan and then apostrophe S. Here the apostrophe shows that the car belongs to Mohanan. Use an apostrophe to show omissions. So in a contraction, sometimes we leave out certain letters, like they have. So here HA, two letters are actually omitted. So this apostrophe indicates those omissions. They have verified the certificates of all candidates. But mind you, we are not supposed to use contractions in our academic writing, definitely. Next we have parenthesis and bracket. First function is to enclose information that clarifies the meaning of the preceding or following sentence. So you have a sentence to explain something. So that explanation that you give or clarification that you give will be in a bracket. Example: the present AGDP, an IPS officer from 1981 batch, has expressed his concern over the rising attacks on women in public places. So, after AGDP, we have got a bracket. Here it shows kind of information given about AGDP. So, that is given in bracket. Next function is to expand abbreviations and to insert dates. Example: RAC, that is reservation against cancellation. Tickets are allotted berths only if passengers with confirmed tickets do not turn up. So, here we have got a full form for RAC, which is given in bracket. Then in academic writing, parentheses are used to give in-text citation, name of the author, year of publication, page number, etc. So, this is very important for us because it is part of our academic writing, that whenever we give reference or in-text citation, we are supposed to use brackets. Example: the studies of delinquent adolescents, Backhouse and James, that is the publication, 1969, that is the year of publication. Emotionally disturbed students. So, the bracket is here used to give the name of author and publication, year and all that. Next, brackets are used to insert a clarification, a translation, parenthesis within parenthesis, a change in capitalization. Look at the example. The final essay in Unto This Last ad valorem, according to value, gives a definition of value that does not depend on money and the exchange of labor. So, here we have got a bracket to show the meaning, that is a translation of that Latin phrase ad valorem, which means according to value. Next, parenthesis within a parenthesis, you have got two brackets, one within another. Let us see the example. My aunt, I never knew what she looked like. She died before I was born. Left the brooch to my mother. So, two ideas are given there. So, we have got a bracket within a bracket. That's why we are using two different sets. Next, we come to dash. It is also known as M dash. Now, how do we distinguish between a N dash and hyphen? So, so only the difference is in the length. It is slightly different from N dash and hyphen. So, dash is actually longer than N dash and also hyphen. So, it is 3 times longer than a hyphen. So, we can make out the difference only from the length of these 3. A comma, colon and parenthesis can be replaced by a dash. So, we can make use of a dash for replacing a comma, colon and also a parenthesis. It is used to indicate a break in a sentence and also to give some additional information. So, here we have got a break which is actually meant for giving some explanation or additional information. For example, no student, not even the leader of the college, was present to give to receive the chief guest. So, here it gives further information, that is not even the leader of the college. Next, a dash is also used to indicate inclusive page numbers and dates. So, when we are writing page numbers from and to, in between you use a dash. Like the guidelines are provided on pages 41 to 49. So, in between we have a dash. Next, put the hyphen between two parts of a compound word. Compound word means words which are made up of two words, like ill-fitting cloth, well-written article. So, such compound words we can put hyphen in between. Next, insert a hyphen before a suffix or after the prefix. What is suffix and prefix? Prefix is a word that comes before, and suffix what comes after. Example: anti-American, post-war, half-hearted. So, we have got prefix as well as suffix here. In this kind of cases, we use hyphen. Next, compound numbers less than 100 are split with a hyphen. So, when we are using numbers below 100, we can use hyphen, like 42, 75 and all that. Next, we come to period, full stop. Let's see what are the uses of full stop or period. Use a period at the end of a statement. So, after every statement or sentence, we are supposed to put a period. Use a period after an abbreviation, short forms like example. So, example itself is an example for that, for period. So, you have a full stop after E and also after G. Next, AM, Mr., MA. So, in order to show that there are abbreviations, we put periods. And another rule is that sentences ending with question mark or exclamation marks do not require additional periods or full stop. Next, in sentences ending with parenthesis, the period is placed outside parenthesis. But if parenthesis contains a full sentence, the period is placed inside parenthesis. So, it depends on whether the sentence in the parenthesis is complete or not. This is the example. You are unlikely to get a good hotel room in Munnar in December and January, the peak travel season. So, here you find the peak travel season is not a complete sentence. So, you find the full stop is coming after the bracket. Next, capitalization. When do we or where do we use capital letters? First rule is that capitalize the title of a book or works of art and literature. So, when we are mentioning the titles of books or articles or other works of literature, we are supposed to use capital letters. Example: The Mill on the Floors, A Tale of Two Cities. These are all titles of books. Next, capitalize the initial letters of the words in the title of an article or essay, chapters of a book, and titles of journals. So whenever we use the title of an article or essay or chapters of a book and titles of journals, we are supposed to use capital letters. For example, vocabulary and grammar for academic writing, that is a title of our unit. Next, proper nouns, names of people, places, geographical places and all that, like Shakespeare, France, Suez Canal, the Himalayas. So, here we use capital letters. Next, to begin a sentence. So, whenever we begin a sentence, the first letter has to be capital. Titles with personal names. So, we have got titles like Mr. Dane, Dr. Aaron, Junior Sampson and all that. So, whenever we have titles before a name, those titles should start with a capital. Then we have got organizations, names of associations or organizations like Oxford University, Indian National Congress. So here we use capital letters. Next, academic subjects like mathematics, sociology, biotechnology, etc. So here we use capital letters. Then next, days, months, seasons, events, etc. Like Sunday, March, May Day, all that. Next, we have races and religions. We have got different races of people and religions and all that. So whenever we write them, we should use capital letters like Caucasians, Negroid or Mongoloid and all that. The Arabs, Hinduism, Christianity, etc. Next, articles, prepositions, coordinating conjunctions are not capitalized unless they are the first word in a sentences. So we should not use capital letter for articles or prepositions or coordinating conjunctions like and, but and all that unless they are in the beginning of a sentence. So these are the some of the functions of punctuation marks. I think we have come to the end of this topic, and we will continue with the same unit in the next class. Until then, it is goodbye.